Hello and welcome back to At the Table. I'm Jake and this is Mr. Jon Paul, and we are starting a new series today called The Origin Story. In this, we are talking about the creators on At the Table and what they bring to the table, and just a little bit about themselves in general. So, Mr. Jon Paul is a DM for a long-running campaign, 3 years now, between a bunch of different people that are going to be on the At the Table show. Before we get started, you are going to roll a dice for performance check. You get +3 for 3 years of DMing. I think it's only fair. You are a really good DM.
All right, we'll see. It's 6, so a total of 9.
Not on that one.
Not an at 1, but not a 20 either.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as he said, my name is Jon Paul. I am the long-standing Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master for the At the Table crew here. I am an active Army National Guard member, and I also work in public safety and emergency management in my civilian career. Been playing Dungeons & Dragons for a little over 4 years now, actively, DMing for 3. Beyond that, I kind of spend a lot of my time actively world building for the next campaign we hope to eventually deliver in video on this channel or through live stream.
Okay, so thank you for telling us a little bit about yourself. Now, how did you start playing D&D?
I started playing D&D actively 4 years ago when I enrolled in a intro to D&D night that was being hosted at our local comic shop. Was where I met all the other fabulous members of the At the Table crew here that you will hopefully meet in the near future. After the intro to D&D ended at the local comic shop, we all enjoyed each other so much that we continued playing.
Okay, so again, thank you for telling us how you got started. What keeps you playing D&D?
Besides the innumerable friendships that I've made since joining the intro night back at our comic shop, D&D has kept me playing for a number of reasons, not just the variety of fantasies and role-playing that you can engage in, the combat, which is always entertaining. It's an easy game to jump feet first into and find almost anything that'll pique your interest.
Okay, so this is going to be a funny one. Give us your favorite moment from playing.
Wow. We've had a number of interesting or funny or just amazing moments that have occurred at our table. If I'm going with funny, the first funny moment is when one of our players quite literally was the first person to take damage in our campaign, rolling a 0 on a strength check. Took damage from a door. You'll find that doors are the bane of Dungeons & Dragons players.
League of Short Shadows.
That's to come later. For entertaining and amazing moments was when our party was engaged in a combat during our first campaign where half the party was already down and we were looking like we weren't going to survive. But my monk delivered a successful stunning strike, and our caster, who was pretty much tapped at that moment, managed to kill this creature that was far above our level with a just well-placed dagger strike.
Okay, so we're going to do another one kind of like this. What has been your favorite moment DMing for a group?
Oof. Favorite moment DMing. I've had a number of amazing DM moments, both with the At the Table crew and outside of this crew. At the table, my favorite DMing moment was probably when... Well, there's been several moments where my players have outrightly surprised me or done things that I just didn't see coming. Probably the most amazing was when our party was, or my players rather, were going up against a blue dragon that was attempting to revive an older blue dragon. And one of our players decided to fly to the top of the tower that they were doing this ritual at and essentially taunt the creature, which delivered a breath weapon attack that took the player by herself down, and it became a race against time for the other players to rescue her before she outrightly died. Away from the DM table, away from this at the table, I over the course of COVID introduced a number of my fellow Army National Guard members to Dungeons and Dragons as a result of us trying to stay occupied during our mission during that period, and the overall experience was one of my favorites, just delivering so many personalities to a new game, many of which would never have picked it up on their own.
Okay, so what do you think is your real world superpower?
Ooh, it's a difficult one to tackle. Some people have said I'm probably have a superpower in world building. My world that I built for the at the table crew is a homebrewed world, which has been immersive and expansive to a level that they, after 3 years, are still discovering new things, even though I've more or less run out of things to throw at them. Beyond that, I'd say it's probably my ability to pick up new hobbies and things like that I wish to learn, which I have just from Dungeons & Dragons picked up woodworking to make dice boxes. I've started crafting my own dice. My ability to just jump feet first into a new learning experience has kind of been a superpower lately.
So, what advice would you give to new players starting D&D?
For new players, or anybody who's hoping to become a new player, my advice would be first to pick up the Player's Handbook. 90% of what you need to learn is in the Player's Handbook, and it's almost impossible to not find like the simple basics for at least building a character within this one book, which will teach you, as I said, 90% of what you need to know is just knowing how to play your character. And you can pretty much get all of that from this one book.
Okay, so what advice would you give to new DMs starting off?
New DMs starting off need to kind of consider their resources and whether they're a long-term player who's just planning on picking up the DM mantle, or whether they're a new player / DM who's never done either and is hoping to start a group of their own. If you're the latter, I would suggest looking at something like the Essentials Kit or the Starter Kit from the Dungeons & Dragons compendiums, both of which are pretty much set up for you to start with everything you need just from those two kits, including a simple adventure that's easy to learn. And I can recommend that as a DM, if you're not homebrewing a world, you pretty much just need to start by learning whatever your adventure that you're going to run is. Taking time to just read through it and be familiar with it will help you overcome pretty much any curveball that your players decide to throw at you. And your players will throw curveballs at you. You just need to be prepared to roll with it.
Okay, so do you think you can have too many dice now? Just in general.
No, you cannot have too many dice. That's just sacrilege. Dice are the gods of the Dungeons and Dragons universe. They make all the decisions for you, essentially. And beyond that, I love dice. Yeah, can't have too many.
Okay, so for a closure question, what do you think At the Table brings to the D&D community and just these kind of videos?
Well, we here at the table are just hoping to deliver content from the everyday perspective. None of us are voice actors. None of us are professionals behind the camera. We're just hoping to deliver our content from an easy to understand, everyday perspective that will help anybody hopefully dive into this wonderful game.
Okay, so thank you for tuning into our new series, Origin Stories. We'd like to thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you've been enjoying our content we've been putting out. And especially stay watched for our new D&D videos from Mr. Jon Paul. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.